families. You owe it to your family to call.
Call 800-500-5914. That's 800-500-5914.
All right, folks, welcome back. News One Now. So, all right, y'all pick up where y'all left off.
All right. So we were just saying that, yes, I agree that no woman puts herself on the block like that unless she feels very strongly about what happened to her. I guess my other concern is that on the other side, I mean, you do have cases of famous people, and I would use Michael Jackson as an example because it comes the closest to this. And then, you know, when the rumors are denied and when, the people come out and say, oh, I was forced to do this, then there's no avalanche of undoing the damage that was done. I'm reluctant to take a side here in part because I believe that there isn't enough evidence on the table to really lean either way. But I have to agree with you as someone who's worked in rape crisis centers that this is not something that happens. 28 women don't get together and tell virtually the same story. It doesn't happen.
I do, and I'm definitely very sympathetic to the Michael Jackson scenario. But I do think there's a difference between one or two people and a couple of dozen people, and I think that lends me to believe that this might be a part of habitual predatory behavior.
Cleo, you have folks like Judd Apatow, who's Judd Apatow, big-time Hollywood director, and he's been going off on Twitter saying that the venues where Bill Cosby was performing, that they should shut his comedy show down, and they moved forward with one last night. It was in Canada. The people with the venue said, look, if we cancel this show, it's going to cost us a ton of money. We can't afford to cancel the show. They went forward with it. He came out, apparently got an enthusiastic response, standing ovation at the beginning, huge applause at the end as well. So it is clear that even with all of this, Bill Cosby still has a tremendous fan base. I would be curious, Netflix postponed the comedy special. They were doing a comedy special with him. NBC chose not to move forward with a sitcom. It would be interesting because at the end of the day, people vote with their remote controls, they vote with their dollars. It would be interesting if Netflix chose to move forward with that comedy special. I wonder what the streams would be, the numbers would be.
That's a good question.
I think the numbers would be high. Like I said earlier before the break, the people that are willing to be anti-Bill Cosby, they're giving them a lot of press. People who are not willing to be anti-Cosby are not getting a lot of press. This is not public opinion that we're seeing in the media. We're seeing a media perspective, and they have this voice that's huge, so we see it and we think it illuminates through everything. But then what happens in Canada and what happened in Florida, because when he was in Florida, he got a standing ovation, he got the same response.
But Bill Cosby could come out and say, what happened? Why are we all jumping on Felicia Rashad for defending him? I mean, if he really is innocent in each of these scenarios, why doesn't he just come out and say what happened?
Well, it's interesting because we previously had an attorney on who said when a client speaks to their attorney, they are speaking. Kim, you're an attorney.
Absolutely. If he was my client, he would not be speaking. He would not, because first of all, let's assume that he has an explanation for each. He can go through all 28 of them and explain. It's just going to create more questions, right? It's just going to create, because now it'll be like, well, yeah, but he said that, but then she said this, and then they said this, and then if I'm him, I don't say anything forever. And I do think that there is another way to look at it from his perspective, not just the legal, because that's what you tell somebody. I think the other perspective is you say to him, this. At the end of the day, if you didn't do anything, you don't have to defend yourself. But if there are people like that.
If you were his attorney, would you suggest that they go on a witch hunt in terms of the background of these women in the way that his attorneys are doing right now?
Well, no, I would not suggest a witch hunt because
hold on. Let me break that down.
What's being called a witch
hunt? Oh, but let me break that down. If I'm being accused of something, is it an actual witch hunt, or is it that I hire private investigators to look into the individuals that may speak to their credibility? Because the reality is, people use private investigators for different reasons. I don't care. And also remember, some of these folks are actually trying to file civil suits, and so. So are you saying that Bill Cosby should not be hiring private investigators who, like for instance, one of the women claimed that he was on the Tonight Show with him. He came into her dressing room, put his penis in her mouth. the problem they pull up information and say, well, I mean, according to IMDb, he wasn't even on the Tonight Show the same night that she was on. And so they released the information and said, wait a minute, we're cashing down on her credibility. So so you're saying that they shouldn't be doing that?
I think that is in bounds, but when you're talking about going through and trying to investigate people's sexual history, I think that's a little analogous to what we oftentimes see with people who are
But we
victims.
don't know exactly what's being investigated. We're hearing things that are sensational, and they're putting a spin on it, and they keep on putting a spin on it. So Bill Cosby can't win for losing.
And also, I mean, again, 28 women this happened to, and nobody pressed charges timely. You know, everybody's talking about these civil suits. It's too late.
But people came out 30 years ago. They didn't press charges.
But they didn't press charges.
In 2005, they did pursue a case. The district attorney in Philadelphia concluded there was not enough evidence to move forward.
And there you go. I mean, it's too late. I love it when Gloria Allred gets on TV. Come out and, you know, just pay them all off, or come out and do that. I got to give it to her. That's some bold stuff right there. The statute of limitations is passed. If it was her client, let's say she had a woman and 28 men came out, she'd be like, keep your mouth shut. Do not say anything. Do not do anything. And certainly don't put up a fund, because the fund says, I did it, but I just don't want to talk about it no more. I'm going to pay them off.
Well, we know she's
awful.
trying to get paid.
Yeah, well, you know.
I just think that, again, I think when you
it's unrealistic.
I just think that when you look at what's happening here, and again, I'm putting it out there because anytime I've seen, even on this show, when someone has taken a position that even is if remotely, I mean, it's not even, oh, I'm pro Bill Cosby, but their deal is benefit of the doubt. I mean, you have a whole slew of people who just go nuts, and that's what I'm saying. I think that's what's interesting about this here. And so to Cleo's point, one of the reasons, like, you're not going to see those folks in media, because people are saying, yo, man, I don't even want to go through all that grief and drama just for sharing my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's not fair, though.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's not free speech. That's for
life
sure.
is not fair. But I've said before that no, I'm not. I'm definitely anti-rape. I'm not a big Bill Cosby fan, but I'm a fan of trying to find reality and bring a dimension to the situation and considering the dimension. And this is a dimensional situation, as we talked about earlier, that the press or the media does not have a lot of balanced perspectives of black people.
That's really what
There's not a lot of balanced media.
That's right.
And it's racist. It's a racist, exclusive phenomena called the media that does not treat black people with balance. So along with the potential rapes or the actual rapes or whatever occurred among 28, 22, 19, when we get finished investigating and keeps going down to the credibility, there's a real reality that Bill Cosby is now part of in terms of us looking at, is this man being set up again because of racism, or is this situation true? And of course, when women come out saying they were raped, that's a very compelling and profound and horrific type of implication. But it doesn't stop this other problem, though, of racism and bias. Because like Roland said, if you say he's bad, he did it, he's wrong, you get all the press that you want to get. Like Charles Barkley gets to come on TV and be anti-black every chance he's willing to say, yes, I'll do it. But if you're pro-black and you're affirming black people, or you're trying to be thoughtful about black issues, you get no press.
Well, I think the balance is the issue
Bill
here,
Cosby got in that very same example.
So I gotta go to a break.
We're gonna fight some more off air.
Clearly, y'all want to continue this conversation, and so y'all can fight a little bit more off air. But I gotta deal with the flu on the next one. See, I let y'all have it again. So hold tight 1 second. We're gonna talk about the flu. Dr. Jennifer Collar up next. We're also trying to keep you warm and safe when it comes to all this cold weather across the country.